attention, better energy. It was just really, really great.
Balance of Nature is now offering 35% off on any new preferred order. Go to balanceofnature.com today and use discount code USA.
Some fruits and veggies that are easy to grow in your garden. That's coming up on This Land of Ours.
I'm a botanist, I'm a scientist, and an activist. I'm a mechanic, I'm a caretaker, a hay raker, I'm a miller, a tiller, and a grain bin filler. I'm a farmer. But the most important handle I ever had is Dad.
You're a parent first, farmer second. Do all you can to make your farm safe for children. Visit cultivatesafety.org for help protecting the most important thing you will ever raise.
Here's farmer and landowner John Prue.
We purchased the land about 3 years ago, and there was an old farmstead on there with trees. We were going to clear the land so we could farm through it. We thought we knew where the pipe was, so we didn't call to get it located. The work on our property led to the damage of a light crude pipeline. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but it could have been much worse.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
COVID-19 has forced us into the new normal of social distancing. And when it comes to grocery shopping, produce availability in stores is less consistent. There's no better time than now to learn how to grow your own fruits and vegetables, so there's no worries about access to some of the good foods we love to cook with and eat. Even if you've never had a green thumb, herbs are a great entry point. They're just about the easiest thing you can grow and very difficult to mess up. Plus, you can grow them inside or outside. Basil, thyme, mint, rosemary, sage, oregano, they're all easy to grow and will add a ton of flavor to your cooking. Other easy fruits and veggies to grow from home include lettuce, green beans, strawberries, kale, peppers, cucumbers, spinach, and squash. Purchasing seeds from local nurseries and garden shops also supports local small businesses. I'm Kathy Isom, Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Partly sunny and pleasant. Today's high, 74 to 78. Clear to partly cloudy tonight, low 61 to 66. Some sunshine, nice tomorrow, high 76 to 80. Mainly clear tomorrow night, low 62 to 67. Some sunshine with a shower around on Thursday, high 81 to 85. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Jonathan Reed.
Just Shipped is expanding to its first retail location at the new Boulevard Market located on the corner of Bonnie Heath and 36th Avenue. Just Shipped will still offer the same all-inclusive services of packing and shipping your items. Don't want to get out of your car? You don't have to, because Just Shipped is offering curbside service. That's right, curbside service starting Saturday, November 7th. Go to justship.net for more information. Take the guesswork out of shipping with Just Shipped.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Good Tuesday morning to you. It is Election Day. This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmitz, coming to you live from the palatial studios of WOCA Radio, just outside of the food court entrance at the Paddock Mall in the Brick City Beautiful, Ocala, Florida, on a brisk yet beautiful Tuesday morning. Joining us on the phone lines he does every day to kick off the show, Galen Unall from Life South. He's brought to you by the good friends at Penn Flooring, family owned and operated, serving Marion County for over 30 years. They owe every bit of their success to their unrivaled customer service. Also, Palm Garden. We'd like to thank Palm Garden Health and Rehabilitation Center. They're located at 2700 Southwest 34th Street. They offered skilled nursing, physical, occupational, and speech therapy. Call them at 352-854-6262 if you have any questions or need more information. Good morning, Galen. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, Tom? How are you today, my man?
You know, I because of this new gig, or relatively new gig, where I'm doing the morning thing, I didn't get to do what I usually do, and that's go first thing in the morning to the election polling booths and cast my vote. I'll be doing it sometime after noon today, but it's a little strange not to go first thing in the morning, but that's, you know, as long as I get it done before 7.
Yeah, I've been voting early since they started it. I actually enjoy voting early.
See, I'm the guy that likes to go to the day of and just, know that that's how it's been forever. So I like to do it that way. You know what you can do today? If you don't have a ride, SunTrans offering free rides all day to polling stations.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. You can take the bus all day to polling stations. All right, so get out to vote. Galen's voted. I'm going to vote. Get out and vote. Make a difference. If you don't vote, shut up. We don't want to hear from you. Okay?
Hey, let me ask you. When's the last time? When's the first time you voted? When you were in college, did you do an absentee ballot, or how did you vote the first?
No. The first time I voted.
I wonder if that matters.
First time I voted, I was 18 years old, and I registered to vote. I was still in high school. I was that kid that was 18 when he graduated because I turned. My birthday's in July, so my entire senior year, I was 18. So I got to vote my senior year, and I got to check myself out of school anytime I wanted to. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So I went.
And I wonder if that's why you like to vote on Election Day.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Because, I didn't vote on Election Day for the first 8 times that I voted because I was never in Ocala.
Right.
I was either in the Navy or at school.
So you did absentee ballot. See, now I always because I didn't go, I didn't have military service, and in college, I was all in my local. I'm always a local guy. I know national elections are important. Don't get me wrong. Senators, House of Representatives, the president, the vice president. That's important. But to me, how a school board or how a county commissioner or how a city council decides your property taxes and the taxes or the fees you have to pay for wastewater and your fire fees, $50 million in the whole city of Ocala, those kind of things. Those impact my life on a day-to-day basis. I understand capital gains tax and income tax or, corporate taxes and all. That affect me, but they don't affect my everyday life the way a millage increase on your property tax does, or the fact that there's a 1 cent sales tax that they want and stuff like that. So I always voted wherever I lived. I made that my place of permanent residency. So when I was in college, I didn't vote absentee ballot. I voted in the town I lived in because I made it my residence.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. What I would do, and my dad, I'd get my dad would tell me who to vote for before every election locally because I had no idea.
Right.
He knew these people incredibly well, and so he would tell me to vote for.
Now, without saying what you're registered as now, because that's between you and whoever you want to know.
I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican.
Okay,
I think that's well.
I'm a Republican.
It's
no secret that I'm a Republican now, but I will tell you, at 18, I was a registered Democrat.
Well, good.
But that was 1984, and in the South, a lot of people were Democrat. My mom was a Democrat. All my friends' parents were Democrats. They were called Dixiecrats, but everybody was a Democrat. People forget that the South now leans towards conservative Republicans. But by the way, in the late 70s, early 80s, the late 60s, 70s, in the South, you had conservative Democrats.
Well, and Jimmy Carter destroyed that. He single-handedly destroyed it because his policies were so bad. And he's a good man. I don't think anybody can argue that.
Great human being, terrible politician.
His policies were just bad. His policies were bad. I don't even think you could say he was a bad politician because he made it to the presidency. I just think his policies were terrible.
But a great guy.
And that to me is absolutely. You would definitely want him in your prayer group. Just his policies were bad, and I think that's that he would be really interesting in the world today if he was running, because he was he still is such a kind soul. At his heart, you knew that God was there. And it'd be really interesting to watch him run today.
History.
See how he could traverse traverse this political minefield that we're in now.
History's going to remember Jimmy Carter as a pretty good president, but they're going to do that because of what he did after he was out of the White House, not what he did while he was in the White House.
No, I disagree with you. I think history right now shows that he made Reagan a great president.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
because you got to remember the oil embargoes that he did.
I remember.
Iran.
My whole family went bankrupt because of the oil embargoes. My dad lost 5 service stations because of the oil embargo.
Wow. I didn't
Don't
know
get me started on the oil embargoes.
You can't overcome that, right? And I think one of the things that's on the ballot that I don't think is getting that much attention is, do you remember during, not that long ago when gas prices almost hit $5 here locally?
Yes.
I know my blood center, you wouldn't believe it, but fuel prices are incredibly important to our bottom line because we only have a 3% margin. And those fuel prices, because we have, 45 donor centers and 70 blood mobiles, they run on diesel fuel.
Right,
And
which,
our
by the way,
generators
is diesel fuel more expensive than gasoline, and that's something I never understood, because you know what diesel fuel is? It's the byproduct of creating gasoline.
Right.
It's the waste.
And so,
when you create gasoline, the waste is diesel fuel, and for some reason that's more expensive than gas. I don't get it.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those things that, and I'm sure the business that I'm in isn't any different than everybody else's, whether you're in construction or landscaping or trucking. Anything that moves a product is so impacted by fuel prices. And my concern is if Biden wins, we're going to go back up to over $5 a gallon.
100%.
That's a real concern.
100%, it's a real concern. Here's the other thing. If Joe Biden wins, he's already said there's a great possibility he locks the country down again.
Right.
I don't know about you.
I heard.
I don't know about you. I don't know about you, but don't get me wrong. I love that I'm back on the radio. I'm grateful that the Martones gave me this opportunity. I took this opportunity. This opportunity was offered to me 11 months ago, 12 months ago, when Larry and Robin first announced their retirement.
Yes, it was.
And at the time,
my vote, you just didn't care.
At the time, I was like, I don't need to go back to radio in a time period I don't want to do. I don't want to do 3 hours of radio anymore. I'm doing well with my trivia and with my day business and everything. I'm gonna take a pass, Dan, but thanks for offering. And then COVID hit me to the tune of about $4,000 a month that I was losing.
Right.
I don't know anybody that, unless you're uber wealthy, that can stand a $4,000 hit, and people go, yeah, well, that's Trump's fault. No, it's not. It was COVID's fault. Okay. Nobody saw a pandemic coming. Nobody.
Well, and look at what France and Germany and they supposedly, remember, and even Italy, and look how they're handling it right. Yeah, their death rate is now higher than it is in the U.S. And Switzerland, that everybody's like, they're the bomb. That has never moved. It's never
hadn't shut down or anything.
No mask mandate, none of that.
Herd immunity.
Amen, brother. Amen. And I've been saying that from the beginning. I think, and I'm around kids all the time. I coach. I know what that shutdown meant to them mentally, physically, and I know that they're much safer when they're at school, being active, being around people their own age, that's where they belong. It's out in the world, not hidden up in a hole. Now, again, if there are people among us that are more fragile.
Certainly.
They should be. And my mom, I told her, no, don't leave the house. You need anything, call me. I'll deliver it to you.
Exactly. I took
80.
to Joni Martin, Buddy Martin's wife. Her and Buddy, they've been inside, which they should be inside. They're in that age group that needs to stay inside. I've went and got flea medicine for Joni's dog and stuff, because that's what you do. America has a great way of taking care of itself, and people would just let it. Here's my issue with this. They first said, well, the reason we have to lock down is because our immune system is not prepared for this. Well, that's a lie. Because if our immune system wasn't prepared for this, everybody'd be dying. But the human immune system is great. Somebody says, well, show me one group of people that hadn't affected. Hello, you know who has the best immune system in the world? Homeless people. Because they're subjected to a lot more dirt and bacteria and all that we are. You don't see this affecting the homeless population at all.
Did you ever see the George Carlin? He did a whole thing on this immunity thing. He goes, you want immunity? Go swim in the East River. That's what we did.
Thank you.
Drink water right out of a tap.
Right.
And it's so good. It's so good.
You want your immune system.
I laughed about an hour.
You want your immune system to work. Let your kids go outside and eat dirt like we did.
Mud pots.
Yeah, mud pots.
Yeah. I think that's huge.
I thought that water, until I was like 14 or 15 years old, I thought water in Florida was always hot and tasted like a rubber hose. That's just what I thought.
Yeah, me too. And you know what? And this is a true story. Not all my neighbors had the rubber hose, and we would drink it right out of the tap.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember if we walked across the street, we'd get it out of a rubber hose and it tasted a little better. But it was just across the street. We were too hot and sweaty.
Well, and
the rubber hose was a luxury when I was growing up.
I grew up in Callahan, Florida, Nassau County, which is pretty much Georgia.
Sure.
Anything north of Jacksonville is pretty much Georgia. And I grew up there, and we had sulfur water. It smelled like rotten eggs, but we drank it anyway because that's all you had.
So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And you couldn't drink, you could just swish it around and spit it out, and then that aftertaste would just be there for days.
Okay.
And when you went home, all you drank was Kool-Aid.
That's it.
It was just sugar water.
We're talking with Galen Unall from Life South. We're going to take a short time out. We'll be right back after hearing from the sponsors of Galen's show, Palm Garden and Penn Flooring. We'll be right back.
People ask me why I've worked at Palm Garden for so long, and I tell them it's the people. I love to hear the life stories, especially those from the greatest generation. Celebrating life stories is what sets Palm Garden apart, finding out what's important to them. And I love being a resource. Like Macy's Santa, if I can't help, I'll send them to Gimbel's. After all, Palm Garden is located on 34th Street. I'm Jan from Palm Garden. Call me and let's chat. 854-6262.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
Now you did it. Are you completely insane? He's back. He, who must not be named. The man, the myth. The only guy in Ocala to eat his own weight in fried pickles. Twice. Now, you asked for it. Sorta. Live and in person. It's Tom Schmitz.
It is Tom Schmitz. On a Tuesday morning, election day. Go out and vote. Galen Unall from Life South on the lines with us. You know, Galen, we talk about voting and we talk about COVID and everything, and it's always that one issue that singles itself out that the world turns its focus to for an election. You know, and this year it's COVID. This year it's who did COVID right.
Let me ask you this: Do you remember when Trump got COVID? And I was like, oh, man, if he dies, we're in so much trouble because we're just going to be locked down forever. Do you think him recovering from COVID as quickly as he did, and even the left who thinks he's, out of shape and close to death and weighs 452 pounds. Do you think that him recovering so fast and with all that energy, he did 5 rallies yesterday, do you think that helped him?
No. Well, here's what I think. I think the people who think that COVID is the nasty virus that's going to kill everybody, so we got to stay inside, we got to stay on lockdown, they're going to think that regardless of who. They could see their own family come down with COVID and survive, and they'd still say, well, we just dodged a bullet. It's really a killer. And I think the people who are on Trump's side said, see, it's not that bad. You just get a little sick and you come back from it, without understanding the seriousness of it, the way it affects the older population. And still, we don't, let's be honest, while we know you can recover from it, we don't know what the long-term lasting effects could be, because we don't know it. We don't know enough about it yet.
Well, we don't know the long-term impact of a lot of things.
100% we don't.
I think that's a... Yeah, and I hear people use that argument all the time with their kids, and I'm like, well, we do know the long-term impact of isolation and depression, and how, right now, like if you have
businesses imploding, the long-term effect of businesses imploding.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's no way you can homeschool all these kids. So I'm just glad our governor was smart enough to open schools. I am so thankful for
Well,
that.
I just have not yet heard anybody tell me why the Switzerland model wouldn't work worldwide. It worked in Switzerland.
Well, you're not going to. And again, I've said this on this program for months now. This was another opportunity for the federal government to get more involved in our lives and to take more control over our lives.
And
that's an absolute fact.
Fact. And I try to tell people, you don't understand, it's not a country run by a federal government. It is a federal government that gets permission from 50 individual states to make decisions. And people get caught up in this national, where we're one country. We're literally 50 small countries that send representatives to a central area to oversee that the 50 countries operate in harmony with each other. It's 50 small countries called states that are in control of their own decision making, and we agree to send people to a centralized area to oversee all 50 states working in harmony. It's not one federal government and everybody else is subservient to it. And people get caught up in, the federal government said, yeah, that doesn't always make it right. The federal government at one time said African Americans were 3/5 of a human. So the federal government isn't the be-all, end-all.
No, and we should be really worried about a potential mask mandate, that if the federal government gets the power to force us to wear a mask, whether you believe in it or not, it's not the point. But the fact that they can tell you to do that is very, very scary. Very, 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 very scary. And that should frighten all of us.
And by the way, do I think that you should wear a mask? I think that it probably stops me from spitting on people when I talk, and I'm a confessed water sport talker. I'll give you that. So it probably behooves me to wear a mask, but not because of spread of COVID, just so I don't spit on people when I'm talking.
That's not good.
But
there's a car upside down on the I-75 heading north, right before the 382 exit.
Ooh.
The sheer traffic report.
So,
brought to you by Ben Flooring.
Yeah, upside down car, mile marker 382 heading north on 75.
Yeah, that traffic's
good.
about to get really bad. Really bad.
That's not good. Not good. I just don't think people understand how easily we're giving up the power of the people and just turning it over without any kind of, nobody seems to think it, or some of the population seems to think it's no big deal. Oh, well, they told us we had to, so we might as well.
Sure. Well, and again, that's the people who look to the federal government to solve all their problems. And the federal government has never solved the problem.
But you would think that. But I know lots of people who are independently wealthy, who are business owners that are doing well for themselves, that'll say, well, they tell us we got to wear a mask. We better put one on or everybody's going to die. And I'm like, you're not subservient to the federal government. You don't need the federal government to make or break your life. And yet you're still listening to them saying, they're a mask mandate, and it boggles my mind, the people that fall in line just because they're told to.
I wonder how much of that is look, I just don't want them to be in my business. Whatever it's going to take to shut them up, right? That whole thought, I just want to go along to get along.
Well, if that was the case,
I wonder how much of it is that.
If that was the case, then we'd never have people like Fred W. Darby. And people don't know who Fred W. Darby is, but in 1938, Fred W. Darby said, enough. And he stood up and he said, you don't get to tell me as I'm a business owner, and the federal government doesn't get to tell me that I have to pay my workers a certain amount of money. Now, Fred W. Darby was proved to be wrong. The Supreme Court said it was constitutional for there to be a mandate about federal minimum wage.
Right.
But Fred W. Darby stood up to make the case. Somebody's going to have to stand up and say, you don't get the right to tell me whether I can wear a pair of blue jeans or I have to wear polyester pants. Because that's basically what a mask is doing. The mask mandate says the federal government can tell you what you can and cannot wear. That's what this is doing.
That's correct. The next thing is a dress code, or that you can't wear an offensive shirt. I don't know what offensive is, but that's next thing is where's the slope?
That's the thing. You can't wear certain shirts. You can't write certain things. Oh, by the way, you can't practice certain religions.
Absolutely.
It's all on the slope.
Now, again, people are like, oh, that's ridiculous. No, it isn't.
No, it's not.
It isn't. You can't come into my private life. And the government doesn't have any authority over me. They just don't.
I remember.
Until I break a law, then they can get authority over me. Up until then, I'm in a free country.
I remember, because history's my thing. I remember there was a time in the early 1920s when a crazed lunatic wrote a book that outlined everything he wanted to do.
Yep.
And it was laughed off like, you're being ridiculous, you're overreacting. The book was called Mein Kampf.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then he became in control of the government, and people are going to say, well, that's Donald Trump. No, it's not. Donald Trump's the one trying to open the government back up. Fascists are trying to close the government, in my opinion. And the worst fascist ever, his name was Adolf Hitler.
Sure was.
You can draw correlations to the way they're trying to mandate that we must do things to the same way he mandated to either do it or the brown shirts are showing up.
Correct. You have to wear certain things on your sleeve to state your allegiance.
Right.
Right? I mean, or to wear the Star of David as a tattoo.
Right, exactly.
So you could state who you are.
Hey,
that's not a slippery slope to me.
No,
it's a correlation.
Yes. Where's the Bloodmobile? We got about 10 seconds.
Hey, I appreciate it. Good talk, everybody. Please get out there and vote. Not just today, but every election. Get out there. Today we're going to be out on top of the world. There's a Bells out there. We're going to be there, but of course we're right there on 1607 East Silver Springs Boulevard. Please donate blood. We're in emergency need of everything.
Thanks, Galen. See it.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Early results are coming in this election day. USA Radio News' Dan Naraki has the results.
Dixville Notch, New Hampshire, has traditionally held the first vote in the country for every presidential election since 1960. The tiny community near the Canadian border was a clean sweep for former Vice President Joe Biden, taking all 5 of the town's votes. 12 miles to the south in Millsfield, another midnight vote was held with President Donald Trump winning the community 16 votes to 5. The rest of the state and its 4 electoral votes will be determined after polls close at 7 p.m. Eastern.
It should be noted Dixville Notch also cast their 5 votes for Hillary Clinton in 2016. USA Radio News election coverage starts at 8